in both areas. So it's not like saying, oh, I go through inspection. I really don't want to go through accreditation. Just way too much. It really helps yourself as a school. You can see some of the areas that are covered in inspection, and we all know them well. We can rattle those areas off. But if you were to look at accreditation, you'll notice that some of the very same areas are covered. They just covered under a different name. Well, this is what we say we do, and everything in the school goes through that filter to ensure that all of our decisions are based on that. If it doesn't fit that, we don't do it.
We have to prove it. It's not just, okay, we all memorize this. They've highlighted these certain words that we've had in our mission statements, and they looked at, are we doing this, and how are we doing it?
And this is probably the most difficult thing. I think when they left, they said, well, come up, devise a way that you can tell us how you meet your mission. How can you actually prove this to us? We want to see statistics. We want to see something that shows us that you're truly doing this. By the way, they were real impressed with our school when they came, and we had done an amazing job in preparing for it, because we really were anxious about it. We wanted to be accredited. We were a new school. We knew that we had growing pains, that we had to improve certain areas. We wanted to be considered an international school, therefore we use CIS. We also wanted to be sure that our students had the credibility with an American-based accreditation team as well. So since we were using an American curriculum, we felt New England was the right choice. And at the time, they were teaming with Council of International Schools. In past years, I used Middle Stage, which is another US-based accreditation agency. And I believe now, and one of the reasons it's become the buzzword, in fact, if you're an American school, you've gone to a meeting already with Renee Taylor. She had 3 different meetings that she brought all the American schools in to tell us what they're expecting from us in the UAE. And I was proud when I listened to her presentation, because as she went down the list and said, you need to be sure you have this and this and this, we could check every one of those boxes. We were doing it. Some things better than others, but we were doing all of it. And in my mind, that's like quality assurance. I know that if my students were to go to the US, that stamp that says New England Association would be recognized in any school. I know that if they wanted to go to the UK, it would be recognized, but there, if I were going to those agencies, I wanted Council of International Schools, more well known in Europe, in other areas as well. So we did both. Now, I believe KHDA is teaming with New England. They've formed a liaison. So you'll never have to do inspection one week and the next week do accreditation, because they will come together and do it simultaneously. Kind of like CIS and New England working together. So that's wonderful.
British schools overseas are doing the same.
The same thing with DSIB. Yeah. And that's wonderful. So when you're preparing, you are preparing really the same things for both of them. And the wonderful thing is you get that stamp that says, you're doing what you need to do as an American school. You are meeting international standards through DSIB, because we know that everything you do for DSIB is measured in that way. So it's really a valuable experience. We're very proud to have both of those symbols on our stationery, throughout our school. When we send our school transcripts, the universities know that we truly have reached a certain standard.
It really helps, especially as CIS is something that it's an accreditation that really values European schools. a lot of European schools, especially schools in Switzerland and Norway and other schools in the European countries, are actually getting accredited by CIS. And NESAC is something that is North American. So if you get validation from both, it helps you as a teacher, a student, and the school to feel that, yes, okay, we are at base where we need to be internationally, as well as our curriculum level, which is American.
And again, we looked at it basically from the perspective of the school and as a student, but as Rahila mentions, as a teacher, teachers know that when they're going to an accredited school, that again, you're meeting certain standards. Because some of the issues that have to do with labor relations, those are all things that are closely monitored by New England's Council of International Schools. All of those things. Well, sure, go ahead. For language arts and math and science, and we were using California for social studies. Now they've moved to the Common Core, and so math, science, and language arts have all moved over to Common Core. So against those standards.
Specialists, they focus on the Michigan standards still, or the California standards. We had to use the California standards in some cases in secondary social studies because of our demographics. The host country needed to be celebrated, as well as there were certain things that we could not represent within our school in social studies because of our...
All of the documents that you're going to go onto one of those state sites, and they've adopted the Common Core,
yes,
and there's
absolutely.
just oodles of
lots of
information on unpacking the standards.
Yeah, there's
and,
only 5 states
resources, etc.
If you are starting off new, I would suggest, yes, go with the state because they have the resources.
And pick
but
one
if
of
you've
the
already
five
been
that
with
are
the state
top
and you're
one.
moving forward, go towards the Common Core because that's where eventually all the states are going to be heading towards.
Not too long ago, we had Kevin Simpson unpack the language arts standards for us, and he was using
New York.
When we were using the IBTS, the Iowa tests, we found that it just didn't meet our needs. We needed to be able to look at data more frequently, and we couldn't do that with the Iowa tests. It also was very biased, and we can actually pull out questions that are biased from the math test. So with all of those features, it was wow, an answer to our prayers. And we actually are giving it 3 times a year now and creating goals for our girls and working with them to see how well they've achieved those goals with that interim testing. So it's worked out really well. So we felt that accreditation really gave us a sense that we were on the right track. We're just not going here and there and everywhere. We were on a path, we were focused, we could look at ourselves, which we did, because it's all about self-reflection, kind of like the CEF that you developed for DSIB. We had to develop one of those, except it took us, what, 18 months to do that? 18 months to meet and talk about what things we were doing well, what things we needed to improve upon, where were we going to go next. Now, the accrediting agencies really weren't involved in that. They would send us information, but basically that was done by us. So it was really a wonderful exercise for us. And after we came out of it, we had a path we could follow.
And being part of their evaluation for our universities and everything, one of the things that I've noticed that really helped us after accreditation was their acceptances into universities across the world, especially the United States. We've always had AP classes, but we've increased our AP classes over the years. That helps as well. But if you take a transcript and the university that you're applying to knows that it is a school that has been accredited by the United States, they are more liable to accept your transcript without the multitude of paperwork that's needed for international students. So they went to these schools, and it was very helpful to have a transcript that was accredited by an international body, both CIS and North England, because then they felt that it was a legitimate school. And there's so many schools out there, international schools out there. it's hard to judge what is really at level of what they need or not. And just having that stamp really helps them as students.
And I think why we're pushing, or they're pushing in Dubai now for us who say we're American to really move through this accrediting exercise is because if you use there's certain things that are core in an American curriculum education. And lots of people say they're American, but are not truly American. And so it's hard, I guess, kind of customer service, quality control. DSIB and KHA are saying, well, you know, if you say you're American, I remember Dr. Karam last year approached me and said, so Delise, why do you think you're an American school? Why do you call yourself? What makes you think you're American? And so what I could tell him was, we went through accreditation. That is a mark to show that we truly are an American school.
So about 4 years ago, all is coming together now. 4 years ago,
seems like forever.
We went through accreditation, and I was a part of the self-study. I was also in the steering committee, which is the main committee that really guides the other committees on what they're doing, and then we take all their feedback and put the report together. So what happened was that CIS and NISAC came to our school. They sent a couple of people to our school, and they said, okay, this is what you need to do to get ready for accreditation. We took that and we made committees, self-studies. And the self-study is school-specific. It is something that you are focusing on your own school, and it is staff-driven. As a staff member, that was very important, because to me, as a staff member, because I felt empowered, I felt I was part of the accreditation process, and I felt that I had a voice. And at that time, I was only teaching there for about a year when we started. I was only teaching there for a year, and I was still new to the country, new to the environment, new to teaching. So it was something that I felt really empowered to do. I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to do it. It didn't seem more work to me. It seemed like, oh, I have a chance to really question what's going on here.
And have a voice.
And have a voice.
Well, the funny part was that the chair to my steering committee would come to me and she said, I can't believe they're saying this, this, and this. I said, leave them alone. Let them say it. Let them write it down. Let them reflect. Let it happen. You sure? I'm sure. Let them be.
I mean, there was no tape. There was no tape. We sat on those committees, and if we wanted to bash Talim, we bashed Talim. We said, well, we want this. We want better, you know, medical insurance, or how come
we want more PD?
We want more professional development. We want, and they listened. That's.
And then the best part was every recommendation they made, it was Delisa's problem to fix it.
Yeah, she had to fix it. Everything.
Everything. And I kept thinking, oh, gosh, I'm going to have a
you have to write an
stroke
action plan.
doing this.
And the person who's in charge was delete, our principal. So she was in charge of everything.
What did I tell you guys?
You do it yourself.
We said, no, each of you will make a plan in your committee for your group. You will have a plan, and different people will be responsible. Of course, I'm the overall responsibility, but each of you will have a part in making this a better school.
And it wasn't just the staff and the principal. It was the community, and it was the parents. And if you are really trying to get your parents to have a voice in school, actually take an interest in your school, because that's such a hard thing over here, it's just to get the parents involved. This is the best way to do it, because when they see you're going through this process and you actually invite them to sit on committees, and you invite student input, and you invite parent and community input, they get excited just as you do. And when they see the changes happening, they said, oh yeah, I recommended that. I recommended that, and AAM changed it. They fixed it. And that makes them feel empowered too.
So it's giving them like ownership of their school.
Ownership of their school. But because we were seeing so much change, it was meetings that people actually wanted to go to. It wasn't, oh man, another meeting after school. It was something, oh, okay, yeah, we're meeting and we're going to get this done. But when we were done, the visiting committee came. They read the self-study. They spent 4 days in our school seeing us in action. Basically, did you take our recommendations? Were you able to actually live the mission? And this is where the mission statement came alive. Because like how you unpack standards, you have to unpack your mission statement because they will be checking. You said this in your mission statement. Do you do it? Do your children know how to do it? Do your students actually know what this statement means? And so they're going to be checking that regularly. They discussed the self-study with members of the school community, and then they made a recommendation to CIS and NESAC to accredit. So,
and basically our recommendations for ourselves were the ones that they fed us back. We knew what had to happen in our school to make it a better school, you know, the term moving from good to outstanding. And so with that information and that plan, we could do it. And I had now, we used to use the whole thing of the soaring, like
the birds flying together.
The geese. Geese in America fly in formation.
Flying V.
Yeah, in a V. In America, the birds called geese fly in a V. And the whole theme throughout our accreditation was that we wanted to form this V and fly together. And we did.
After accreditation, it doesn't end there. I believe it was last year that they came and visited us, even last year.
He just came by to
visit. But we do have to send reports. So
Yeah.
we have a 2-year report. Progress reports, they just come and visit you sometimes, occasionally, and then a 5-year report. We've already been through our 2-year report. We've had a special visit.
special report.
Yeah.
Not a visit, but well, actually it was a visit,
It was
a chat.
Yeah.
When we decided we wanted to open the pre-K and we thought we might want boys in the early years, they actually came to visit to be sure that this is what we truly wanted to have happen in our school. So it was a considerable change at the time.
So it's not just accreditation and you're done. Accreditation actually is something that is always with you, and they keep their eye on you. They make sure that you know if you need any help, or if you're floundering, or if there's any issues, that they are aware of what's happening. And anything that we do in our school, any major changes, has to be discussed with the accreditation committee. So like again, we wanted to add little boys. We're a girls' school. We wanted to add little boys unless they approve it and say, yes, okay, that seems to fit your mission, you're good to go. The benefits of accreditation. As a staff member, as a parent in the school, my daughter has been in that school since KG. She's now in 4th grade. These are some of the benefits that I felt were the most important in accreditation, and that was self-awareness. We were more aware of our school. We were more, as a parent and as a teacher, I was more aware of my students, of the curriculum process, of making sure that I was giving the best I could both as a teacher and making sure that my daughter was receiving a good education as a parent. We had a lot of planning opportunities. We have a lot more PDs now. When we first came, it was like, what's being offered? Well, if it's not being offered, we're going to call them and bring them in. And that's really important as a teacher who is licensed in the United States, and you need to prove you have PD every time you get your license renewed. So it's important in an international school that I'm teaching here. How can I make sure that, you know, my license and my teaching certification doesn't get wasted? You're upholding standards, quality control, and accountability. You're constantly doing school improvements. So these were all the benefits that we faced when we were, and we had a big party. Do celebrate with cake. It's the best way to celebrate.
We had a big luncheon.
Yeah, we had a big luncheon.
We had
cake. It was. We sang
really
songs.
Celebrated our success. We even had a song that we presented to the accrediting team.
We were happy.
Very impressed.
Very, very happy staff members. So how did it actually help our school? AAM after accreditation from CIS and NESAC. The most important one for us was empowerment. Empowerment of staff and students and parents, but especially staff. I have to tell you, I am a teacher certified from Texas, but I wanted to go into the principal certification. And when I applied for the principal certification from Texas, they asked me, well, are you teaching in the Texas school? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm teaching in an international school. They're like, oh, well, we don't do that. I'm like, well, I'm accredited. It's an accredited school. All they require now is a paper stating that my school has accreditation, and they have entered me into the principal certification. That was important for them. Otherwise, they don't let you do that outside of Texas. You have to be...
Same with taking on student teachers from universities. You must have, again, that accreditation
so
credential.
Professional development for me, higher learning for me, was approved based on this accreditation.
I think the part of empowerment of staff for me as the principal of the school, I had a team when I finished. When I started, it seemed like we were all over the place, and for the first time, as I said, we were these geese flying in formation. And I think that the development of my middle management is probably one of the things I'm most proud about if I had to say something out of my leadership, because I took all of these people who basically hadn't been department heads before, middle managers, coordinators, and all of this helped train them to help us move ahead. I had to use the people I had in my school. And probably, I still say I have the best distributive leadership model in any school I've ever been in. Fabulous. They can make they're empowered to make decisions and carry out not only the school's mission, but the school's yearly action plan. They are significantly contributing to the development of that plan and carrying it forward each year. And they're held accountable.
Yes.
They're accountable. They're accountable to me. I'm accountable to Talim and my parents. Everyone is accountable to someone.
So again, you have increased staff morale, improved instruction, and greater staff teamwork and collegiality. This is really important because a lot of people feel that, oh, accreditation is just one more thing we have to go through. Teachers are already stressed, staff members are stressed, they don't want to go through this, they don't need extra meetings, they don't need extra work, but you do. You want this because it's really going to lead you to a better place. It's going to lead to a smoother run operation, it's going to give you a voice, and it's going to really validate what you're already doing in the classroom, and you want that. Another thing that really brought our school together was the parent-teacher-student connection that we had with AAM. So the AAM family was now more linked to the community through accreditation. We were able to get more parents to be involved. There are now more parents involved in our Parent-Teacher Association, which is our FAM, Friends of AAM. And there's more people involved, more parents involved in our advisory board meetings, which we have today. And just basically generally walking into the school and being a part of it. It makes it very important to have this community link with your parents. And are our girls living the mission? That was something that they came to check consistently. Is not only can they memorize the mission, I mean, it's not just a memorization, but you have to prove how you're living it. So we started after that with our e-portfolios, where the students are actually creating these electronic portfolios showing how they live the mission throughout the school year. And this is something that they present to their parents on a student-led conference day. So they presented to their parents that this is how we led our mission for this school year.
Over there we have the girl, for the past 8 years our girls go to Tanzania. They actually go to a CAS camp, which is part of IB. And at the CAS camp they work in an orphanage, and they also work helping to build a community school. The other picture is one of our last year's seniors who wanted to become a veterinarian. She was with us since the very first day the school opened. There she is in grade 12. Her mentorship, internship with a community organization. She went out for an entire week and spent a week at
Sheikh Mohammed's veterinary clinic, the Falcon Center. We have a week-long internships, part of our Making a Difference week. So the 11th graders go out and they do volunteer work for different, like Dubai Special Needs Center or the Autism Center, etc. And for our senior girls, they do internships with different various businesses across the United Arab Emirates and abroad. So they have the choice of either going abroad for that week and working at a company, legitimate company, the whole process of they have to do paperwork and everything, or they go here locally. And last year we had them working at the immigration office, they were at the docks, they were at veterinary, I mean they were all over. They were at Dubai Financial Center, they were in Parliament, they were working in Parliament, so they got a chance to really see the business world, and that really helps with your area of knowledge.